Hello and welcome to my final presentation for EDTC 6332. My name is Elvin Flores. Today I am going to talk about the ultimate goal of this project. I am going to talk about the instructional solution, the completed product, and the lessons that I learned. The course goal was for Garza Elementary teachers to demonstrate an understanding of creating and managing an online classroom through the use of Google Classroom. Instructional objectives, I had a total of 3. 1, teachers will successfully create an online classroom using the Gaphy tool Google Classroom. 2, teachers will successfully learn to create and manage Google Classroom assignments. And 3, teachers will manage announcement and discussion options on the feed page of Google Classroom. So next I'm going to show you my completed instructional solution. So this is my completed instructional solution. Here on the sides, I did my best to organize everything so that when the learner logged in, they would be able to find everything that they needed here on the side. I tried to eliminate as much clutter as I could and keep everything very simple. I changed from the initial, the announcements page, the landing page. I changed it from the announcements to the syllabus. I changed it to the syllabus because based on some of the feedback that I received, teachers wanted to know a little bit about the course before getting started, and I pretty much have everything that they need to know in the syllabus. Another thing that I plan to add in the future is kind of having maybe a flow chart of how to specifically complete the lessons. So just, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and then the final assessment rubric. Another thing that I added was the final assessment rubric here on the left hand side. So after I created the lessons, I created a total of 3 lessons with an introduction. The introduction is just standalone. I ended up completing the 3 lessons, and I continued with the same format. It's very simple style. There's a pretest. After the pretest, there's an introduction page. It just talks about the objectives that they're going to learn. After that is the video tutorials. Again, I try to keep the videos as short as possible. I went back and I edited the videos to make them a little bit shorter. So here I have about 2 minutes, and then another one that's 5 minutes. Again, I kept the same format. Downloadable instructions, PDF format. What I also did is I reduced the amount of information that I had on the downloadable instructions and kept just the most important core ideas that I talk about in the videos. And that's here. Again, I included just a review session for the test, for the pretest and the post-test. It's a review game with some questions based on the content. And finally, they have the post-test. So after they complete lesson 3, the learner must submit. Well, before they submit anything, they have to assess their Google Classroom, so their end product. And I provided a rubric here for them to do so. So, I put this in the syllabus that their grades would be based off of the post-test, the pretest, post-test, completing the work. It's a total of 400 points, and then the final grade would come from their Google Classroom. So they have available to them the final assessment rubric. This is what I will be using to grade their overall classroom. So I included the rubric for them to see so that they can more or less, as they're working through their Google Classroom, using their Google Classroom, they can kind of see what it is that they need to be doing in order to score the highest grade on the rubric. I also included, right under the assessment rubric, I created an evaluation survey. So the evaluation survey, I just hosted it on Google Docs, and it's just a very simple and easy way for me to get some feedback from the learners taking this course, just on course expectations, just on a scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree, and it's just so that I can get some feedback, and it's helped a lot. I wish that I would have included something like this in my earlier courses, because I created something similar to this, but it was more just kind of an open-ended question type of survey. And here I have this scale survey, and I also included an open-ended question here at the bottom, just to get a little bit more feedback. And it's anonymous, so the learner doesn't have to worry about who it's coming from. My end product is slightly similar to what I started off with. I originally wanted to create a course to introduce teachers to Google Classroom and just kind of have them work with Google Classroom. I wasn't expecting for them to become experts with it, but since I haven't done the field trial yet, I'm hoping to get more feedback in August once classes begin. But based on the learners that have taken this course, they agree that it's shown them a little bit more about what they can do using Google Classroom, and just some of them using it for the first time has really helped to kind of open up the possibilities that they can use Google Classroom after school, as a flipped classroom type of program, and using it with their students. Lessons learned. One of the biggest things that I learned from the instructional solution, kind of creating the entire product, is just seeking feedback. It's extremely important that as you're working, you stop and you get some feedback from either the intended audience or from field supervisor, just to kind of get a different perspective on the overall project. It really helped me. I wish I would have started getting feedback a little bit sooner, but since it is the summer, it's very difficult to receive feedback from administrators and other teachers, because a lot of them are kind of on vacation, and aren't readily available for quick, immediate feedback. So it takes a little while, and receiving that feedback, however minimal it is, really helps in the overall scope of things. It helped me to just kind of tweak some things at times, and then it also helped me go back and change specific things that otherwise I would have missed. That goes into my next lesson that I learned, which involved making changes. At first I wanted to create each individual module and lesson and then move on to the next, and I wasn't planning enough time. I wasn't giving myself enough time to just kind of go back and look over it and just kind of tweak it a little bit, and I was taking it as a whole and not in parts. And after I started to get some feedback was when I began to go back and just change a few things, and I'm glad that I changed and tweaked as I went along, instead of having to go back and change something after I completed the instructional solution. I would have hated to have to go back and redo an entire module, because because learners didn't understand it or it was too difficult to navigate. So continually making changes really helped put everything together and just taking it in parts and keeping in mind the ultimate goal. That's the next lesson that I learned. When I first started, I wanted to create something that was going to be very simple and easy to use, and at the same time was going to provide a good amount of knowledge to the learner. But again, I didn't want to make it too overwhelming, so I try to keep in mind when I created my instructional solution and when I was putting everything together that I wanted to keep everything very, very simple for the learner. And I think that I did a good job of that. Looking back at what my instructional solution looked like about midway through up until now, I think that it's stayed pretty much linear to what I really wanted it to be. So it's it's a starting point and it's an ending point. But one of the things that I mentioned earlier that I do want to go back and add is just a simple visual to guide the learner on the overall course. So maybe like a little flow chart or a different type of visual that's going to help them understand the course structure just a little bit better.